So form grading. This is a process that we use at the lab here for our clients and our trainers, and of course we take a lot of elaborate notes and follow a scientific training process of how we take notes, and we have our own shorthand of how we like to track data and information. But so it's for that, but it's also mostly importantly at the end of the day to communicate with our clients of what the standard is that we're after. And so we actually literally have pictures that we hang up on all of our squat racks that's got criteria for proper form in the back squat, front squat, deadlift, and Romanian deadlift. And these are 4 major exercises that they see in nearly almost every exercise, depending on their goal and their rotation of training, basically. So they're extremely important exercises. They can be your best friend or your worst enemy, and of course they're negatively associated with some people with certain orthopedic pains. Sure, some people out there can't do them, but I would say 99.9% of our clients here at the lab do perform them, and they perform them well. Now, an exercise is not an exercise, and every exercise can hurt you. So that's why we're taking extreme attention to detail to the way this exercise is performed. So a back squat is not a back squat is not a back squat. And we teach, in general, a sort of a high bar Olympic-style back squat because we find that that's the most anatomically correct balanced position to train the body in a squatting fashion. So we do variations of that based on the situation, but in general, that's our default. Now we have a criteria looking at from head to toe, from the toes up, looking at the feet and the foot position, the toeing in and out, the knees whether they're caving in and out or staying neutral, the hips, the lumbar vertebrae, the thoracic vertebrae, the cervical vertebrae, and shoulders, etc. The eye gaze and all those things. So based on each exercise, there's certain criteria we're doing a quick checklist on. And based on that, we grade it, whether it's an A+, an A, an A-, a B+, a B, a B-, a C+, a C, and a C-, and all the way down to an F and so on. And this is really to, we have specific data to track in our workout card. So I might write, they did 100 pounds for 10 reps. The form was solid, so we do put a straight line under the 10 for that to indicate solid. But we might put A+ by it, and that A+ as a criteria that we did a hamstrings to calves range of motion back squat with everything in consideration in its perfect position. Now let's say that same person tries to do 110 pounds for 8 reps and they cut the range of motion slightly higher than parallel. Well, they would receive points off, and they might receive like a B- for that set. So everything else was considered. The number of errors the number of errors and the type of error would indicate why we changed the grade. So for example, breaking parallel, it's important. It's an important thing. You want to make sure you're breaking parallel there for several reasons, but it's not as crucial, let's say, as losing the lumbar curve in the vertebrae there, to where you're setting yourself up for injury to the low back. So that to me is almost an automatic failure. Or say if we get some slight rounding in the low back, we would take them down to a C actually, or at least a B-. But if we get 2 curves in the back, let's say thoracic vertebrae and say the lumbar vertebrae, that's you're already looking at a C, and depending on the degree of that, you might even get an F for that set. So yeah, you just squatted 500 pounds and you broke parallel, but you completely lost all positions in your spine and you risk radical injury there. So now, A+ for effort, but you get an F on that set because I can't allow you to do that basically. So you understand, that was an awesome work effort and output there. I got to kind of scold you here at the same time. So next, I would rather you see 400 pounds with A+ form than 500 pounds with questionable form. So that way we can communicate on that level, and they understand high quality sets versus, okay, they see someone across the gym, hey, that was an awesome squat set, but I know better than that I could do that too, but I'm doing this with proper form and positions. So that's to keep them safe and to keep the right things in respect in terms of technique and intensity, and where that cutoff point is of how hard to push. So more is not necessarily always better, but you got to look at both elements of quantity and quality in the right combination of those. The flip side of this is that if you're so hell bent on quality that you never push the envelope and the limit, you may not get anywhere too far too fast. Your ability to get to that destination will be slower and compromised, but depends on who you are, what your limitations and injuries are. I had one client in particular who's had over 14 surgeries before he came to work with me, and it's quality, quality, quality. His goal is to have pain-free quality of life without injuring himself and dealing with all these limitations. So it was A+ only, everything, all day, every day. And as the years went by, we saw what his resilience level was if you ever broke down to an A-, was that okay? Did it cause any symptoms of pain or anything like that? So that's how we use that system to communicate with that client and understand how the stresses are affecting their body and how much quality form we can that we must keep, or how much we can get away with, and how much we can push that envelope. So just to, this is mostly intended for our clients, so you understand that process. And when our trainers may ask you or tell you what your grade might be, and a lot of times I like to even ask my clients, hey, okay, so that was a great squat set. What would you give yourself in terms of a grade? Did you feel your knees caving on that squat? So what would you give your grade? They might say it was an A-. Well, I would say, okay, I agree. Or maybe it was a B-. Or I might even say that squat would be an A+ had you kept your knees out and say your eyes a little bit more up or neutral at least. So that way we can kind of educate a little bit more seamlessly and get them to A+ quality movements with the highest weights possible.